Good evening, and welcome to Beyond the Notes with Shelby D. Bogney. I am Erica Lawrence, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to our host of the Beyond the Notes. So you're aware, there will be time for Q&A at the end of the program. So that we can capture all of your questions, we ask that you please put them into the chat. Now, I'd like to introduce our host and the creator of Shelby Sticky Notes to you, Shelby D. Bogney. Your host is a powerhouse executive, a cultural strategist, and a dynamic leader who knows how to go far beyond the surface. Shelby D. Bogney brings decades of experience leading human resources and diversity at some of the world's most recognized organizations, including the Walt Disney Company, McDonald's Corporation, the Home Depot, and the International House of Pancakes. Today, she serves as Senior Vice President of People and Culture at the Music Center in Los Angeles, one of the largest performing arts centers in the nation. A proud graduate of Howard University, she also holds a master's in human resources from Pepperdine University and is an SHRM Senior Certified Professional and member of the National Association of Corporate Directors. But her story doesn't stop in the boardroom. Shelby is a 38-year life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, where she most recently served as Far Western Regional Director, leading 77 chapters across 9 states and launching the region's first ever Leadership Institute. And as a wife, mother, mentor, and leader, she understands that the real story, the real impact, lives beyond the titles. So get ready, because this is more than a webinar. This is Beyond the Notes. Tonight, we're joined by the trailblazing and dynamic Sharon Caples McDougle, former NASA spacesuit technician, crew chief, and manager whose career helped shape the safety and success of human spaceflight. Over 3 decades at NASA, she worked on the design, maintenance, and preparation of spacesuits for astronauts, including Mae Jemison, the first Black woman to travel to space. Known for her precision, leadership, and deep technical expertise, Sharon rose through the ranks to become a respected mentor and manager, helping train and guide the next generation of engineers and technicians. After retiring from NASA, she transitioned into a new chapter as a sought-after speaker and advocate, sharing lessons on resilience, reinvention, and navigating complex careers. Her journey reflects a powerful commitment to excellence, lifelong learning, and breaking barriers, both within and beyond the space program. Please note that we will be recording Shelby's workshop this evening to share with those of you that are members of the Sticky Notes group. And if you're not a member just yet, we'll share contact information at the end of the call so you can join. Now, I'll turn it over to Shelby so that we can all learn the art of career reinvention and how to lead a career that is built for orbit.
Thank you, Erica, for that wonderful introduction, and good evening. We are so happy that you've joined us this evening. Beyond having this for the Sticky Notes group, you will also be able to find this on YouTube if you want to share it with your family and friends. So today, with hundreds of thousands of Black women losing roles and having to reinvent what they do, looking for work, I thought it was perfect to have a trailblazer in this area, Sharon, with me this evening to talk about transitions and her long and rich history in the STEM field and what she's done to really continue to reinvent. So I want you to welcome my guest, Sharon Caples McDougle. Sharon, it's good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Well, I want to get right into it because I want to have time for us to talk, but I also want to have time for questions because I know people want to know what you know. So you've had a dynamic career, everything from supporting astronauts like Mae Jemison to the evolving new roles that you had outside of NASA. When you look back, Sharon, did your career feel intentional or did reinvention find you? What was that? Did it feel like you were doing it on purpose or was it, no, I got to do something else?
No, actually, it was nothing that I intended on doing. I had no idea what I was going to do after I graduated high school. And the Air Force recruiter came and spoke to our class. So after that, then I was intentional about joining the Air Force. So that was my first intentional moment. I was like, I'm joining the Air Force. They'll pay for me to go to school. I'll have a job. I can travel the world. And so that was the first one. But no, before that, I had no idea. And even then, once I enlisted, you still don't, you don't, I didn't get to pick my career. You take a test, like an aptitude test. Like the kids do in school so they can see what you're good at. And they choose the job for you based on your test scores. So I was given aerospace physiology.
Yes, and you know what? I know we had a nice conversation about your intention of joining the Air Force. Can you talk a little bit about there? Because we've got folks who they may be trying to make that decision. What made you make that decision? And when you think back, was it a great decision to have made?
Girl, that was the best decision I could have made, especially at that moment in my life, being 18 years old in small town, Moss Point, Mississippi, not much opportunities. And I didn't have money to go to college, so that was one of the reasons I joined, and never even took a class while I served, of course. But that was the best. I tell kids, neither of my kids wanted to go into the military, and I brought it up to them though because it was so great for me. I'm sure everybody don't have the same experience, but I have nothing but good things to say about being in the service until towards the end, and I started feeling some kind of way. But it was the best choice for me because it was I had a technical school to learn about my job, which was aerospace physiology, working with altitude chambers and the dive chamber. That was my actual Air Force specialty code. And then when I finished my technical school, you go to your base. I was assigned at Beale Air Force Base. After that, everything was on the job training. And by being at that particular base, that's where the pressure suits were there because the SR-71, a reconnaissance aircraft, and the U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, that was the home of those planes, the spy planes. And they wore the pressure suits. And so I got on the job training how to work on those suits, which set me up to work with NASA.
Yes, which had to be a
Yes.
highlight. Tell us a little bit about the work you did there with astronaut Mae Jemison.
Let me tell you about how that was just meant to be. All right, I got there. I arrived. I was in the Air Force from 1982 to 1990. And when I separated, we'll probably talk later about the struggles between that and going to the next.
Yes.
But with May, I got there in 1990. She was assigned to STS 47 in 1991. So that's why I said it was meant for me. They waited for me to get there.
That's right.
I could be the one to suit her up. And so when she got assigned, I had already heard the first Black woman was going to be going to space. So I was just waiting to see when she got assigned and what mission she was going to be on and everything. And what happens is when the astronauts get assigned, our supervisor, we had a big plexiglass board in our department. He would come out and everybody gather around. He'd write up the mission name, number, the date, and then start writing each astronaut. And May was the last astronaut he wrote on for STS 47. And I snatched the marker out of his hand and wrote my name by I was the only black woman in my department. So they kind of he just laughed at me. I was kind of nervous because I was like, I might get fired because I had only been there a year. Snatched it out of my supervisor's head. And he was like, I knew probably you probably gonna want to suit her up. I was like, that's right. I wanted to make sure she didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was taken
Right.
care of. And she
Right.
had one of the best, girl.
She had that's right. That's right. She had the best. And you were intentional about that, right?
Oh,
You were like,
100% about
I
that.
want to be the one. And you took it. And I think sometimes we need to understand if we want it, we have to go
Yep.
after it. And
Yep.
so was there a defining moment when you realized it's time for something new? You're in the Air Force. Then you say, it's time for something new. Now, you talked a little bit about, what, at the end there, it got a little different. But
Yeah.
what was that? When
We were big, the crew members depend on us. We were safety, from their parachutes to their survival seat kits to their pressure suits, helmets, gloves, all of that, they depend on us, right? So I've been doing this job for 7 years now, and our unit was starting to turn into kind of a retirement home. Whereas old heads about to retire, they got a lot of stripes, they about done, they done did 20 years, whatever. They were coming into our unit and not being don't really know what they're doing, but because they have more stripes, now they're over me. They're looking at my work, but they don't really know what they're doing. So if I mess up, they don't really know because they don't know the job.
right,
I mean, we're suiting them up, pressurizing them, oxygen hooked up, all this stuff, and taking them out to the aircraft and strapping them into the aircraft. And then he's supposed to check to make sure I did everything right. So I was like, I just
Oh,
wasn't feeling it. Yeah, and I was like, they're gonna hurt somebody or kill somebody because
mm.
this guy is literally standing there with a coffee cup and just looking in, not even doing a physical check to make sure everything's connected. If he's with somebody else, of course, I would never do anything to jeopardize a crew. That's why I guess that's why they put him with me, probably. But I'm like, if he get with somebody that don't really know what they're doing, something bad could happen. And then another thing that kind of pushed me, the last nail in the coffin, I was on temporary assignment in England, supporting the aircraft and the pilots. And they sent a fax, because every time reenlistment come up, they'll ask you if you want to get out early or stay. And I was thinking about it, I didn't know yet. And they sent a fax pretty much said, you need to let us know right now. It was just like nasty. I was like, I've been a perfect airman for 7 years, love my job, and I was really more to do 20 years. But after that, and then between that and then becoming a retirement home, I was just like, you know what? That's a sign. It's time for me to go. Yeah, and
Yes.
that's why I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Mhm.
Sharon, folks stay in their roles because it's comfortable, because they are afraid of doing something different, but all the signs are there.
Yeah.
What are some of those signs that you began to see that made you make that change?
I was uncomfortable with the way things were being done.
Yeah.
Like I said, I knew my career. I was very good at my job, and I just felt like something bad was going to happen, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like the way they treated me after being such a loyal, top-notch technician and airman to just send me a fax like, you need to let us know like if you get out, or just kind of just disrespectful to me.
Almost. Yeah. Yes. Yes. The
And I'm
disrespect
like,
is where I
okay,
was
so
trying
I'm
to.
just a number. I'm just a
Yes.
number for real. I'm thinking that
Yeah.
they appreciate me and all this. No, we want to bring somebody else in that we could pay less. You gonna get out or not? Pretty much. And so that's what did it for me. That's what did it for me. But then I want to let everybody know, if you're gonna do that, it was a little anger there and a little hurt, but you need to make sure you have a plan before you do it, because baby girl didn't have a
Can you say that one more time? You need
make
to.
sure you have a plan before you jump. Don't do it out while you're mad, and cool down and think about it. Because I did not have a plan, and it hurt me
Yeah.
not having a plan. And I was only 26, so I was still a baby. And
Yes.
people think they're grown once they turn 18 and they may be out on their own and stuff. But with the military, no, you still a kid. Know why? Because Uncle Sam is paying for everything. Only thing I paid for was my car note and my insurance. So for almost 8 years, I'm living in the dorm for free, eating in the chow hall. I'm traveling and getting extra pay, not paying for nothing when we travel, the cable, all that. I wasn't paying for anything. So I wasn't grown. I hadn't paid rent. I hadn't paid a light bill. I hadn't done anything. So it was a big culture shock, and reality slapped me dead in my face, punched me in my face when I separated, because I didn't know what I was getting into, because that's all I'd done my whole adult life was be in the military. So make
Right.
sure you have a plan before you jump. It's good to jump. Make sure you got something to land on.
That's always good advice, especially
Yeah.
for young, young professionals, young career
Yes.
folks. You can't get mad and slam the door and walk out like
Yes.
you're home. It can turn out to be quite difficult, but you left there. You
And I
figured
didn't have
it
family
out.
to fall back on. You know how a lot of kids have their parents to, live with them till they get it together. I didn't have anything, so it was hard.
What did you do?
Girl, thank God. My friend, she used to be my roommate when I was in the Air Force. She was living the base was about 45 minutes from Sacramento, California. So she got out years before me, and she had moved and was working in Sacramento area. So I went and slept on her futon for 6 months. I had three part-time jobs. I'm
Oh,
thinking when I got out, because I didn't have a plan. I didn't think I needed a plan, because I was like, I'm awesome. I've been working with the SR-71 top secret aircraft. They're gonna be lined up to hire me. Girl, no. Nobody would hire me full time. I was working three part-time jobs. I was stocking shelves at Home Depot for about 4 hours a day. About 6 hours, I would be putting price tags on clothes at a department store in their basement. And then at night, I cleaned the office building. And this went on for 6 months. I had no benefits. Nobody would hire you full time because they didn't want to give you benefits. And I just had this high profile elite job. No, not a care in the world. And Now I'm nobody, nothing. Can't get a full-time job. Didn't even cross my mind about checking with the space program. Because
Yeah.
because I left angry, and I should have woosah and thought about it and be like, you know what? Don't let them get to you. You can probably transfer into new using. I didn't think about none of that because I just couldn't believe they treated me like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got hurt.
Yes.
And those things do happen inside of
Yeah.
companies, or,
Yeah.
not only when they want to bring in someone and pay them less, but,
Yeah.
they've just made a decision to go in a different direction. And you
Mm-hmm.
are not, it's not personal. They're
Yeah.
not trying to be personal about you. It really does come down to business and the business that
Yes.
they want to continue, maybe without you. So I do
Mm-hmm.
think, sometimes we get very tied into our roles, and especially those who've had a career, who've spent
Yes.
many years with an organization, they struggle to really think, well, they don't want me. Well, don't think of it that way, right, Sharon? Think of it
No,
in
don't think.
what
Yes.
way? How do you think of it? How should you
You
think
think
about
of it. Like I said, you need to calm down first. And rethink everything before. Don't make all decisions while you all hot and angry, because that's not going to help you at all. At all. It feels good at that moment to slam a door or whatever.
it for the moment?
Think about it before you do that. Do you have a plan? Or even if you have a plan already, you still don't want to act up when you're leaving. Don't be that person. Don't be that girl. So anyway, think about what you're gonna do. Have a plan, even if it's just a short-term plan. Have some kind of plan before you just leave your job. If you like the job, if the job was harmful and really bad, then you may have to leave without having a plan. Mine wasn't that bad. I could have made it through it. And when I talked to somebody and said, "Hey, I don't want him to be my supervisor or whatever," but I was just shocked they put. Anyway, don't let me get back on that because girl.
No. So after getting the three part-time jobs and
Yes.
couch surfing a little bit, then what did
Mm-hmm.
you do?
Girl, God again. How about I was sleeping on my friend's futon between them three jobs, and I got a phone call. I don't have a phone. I don't have anything in my name because I have nothing. I don't have enough money to even get my own place. A friend from that used to be in the Air Force with me was out here in Houston working with the space program. I didn't know that, because we didn't have Google and Facebook and all that like we do now. We could easily find and keep up with people. How about he first tried to find me in the phone book, and of course I didn't have a phone or an apartment or anything. And like I said, this one number God put my room. He remembered my roommate's name from the Air Force, which is whose couch I was sleeping on. He called her apartment trying to find me. She wasn't there. I answered the phone, and I was like half asleep, just tired, girl. And he was like, "Sharon, this you, this you." I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." His name Ray Villalobos, but I call him Lobo. He said they have an immediate opening here with Space Shuttle Program doing the exact same job we did in the Air Force. Call this number right now. And I'm trying to ask him stuff. He was like, immediate, oh, call right now. Because he had already told him he had somebody if he could find me.
Wow.
And I called the supervisor number. I was prepared to walk on water and, tell him all the good stuff I did in the Air Force. And we didn't even, I don't even think we chatted 2 minutes, girl. It wasn't an interview. Lobo had already advocated for me, told him how awesome I was in the Air Force, what a hard worker, how smart I was, and all this stuff. So please, everybody need Lobo in their life. Because he could have easily called anybody else that he used to be in the Air Force with. He thought of me because he enjoyed working with me. That's another one. Not just that I knew my stuff, but he enjoyed working with me. You know, I was a good team player, knew my stuff and all that. He had already done the interview for me, pretty much. I just had to call the number. That's why he kept saying, just call this number, call this number. I already know. And then supervisor, come out whenever you're ready. That was it. Didn't even tell me a date to be there. Come out whenever you're ready. I was like, man, I was already on the road before he hung up.
Say no more. Sharon, I want to go back to something you just said. And I mean,
Yeah.
we tell these stories and it sounds, well, that's great. But this gentleman who
Yes.
connected you for your next role worked with you, knew that
Yes.
you were extremely competent, and
Yes.
also you said it. So I want you to expand a little bit about that. He also knew he enjoyed working with you.
Yes.
And
Cause yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what you did in that space, when you're working? Because you can have I've been in HR a long time. We have
Yeah,
very bright, smart people. They're experts in their field, but they're not always sought after because they don't work well with others or they're just not nice people. So, talk
yeah,
about what that was. Did you know that you were? I mean, was this just you naturally, or because
yeah,
sometimes, even in my career, I've had to sort of suck it up. I'm just going to smile anyway. I'm not happy with you. I don't, but
yeah.
I'm going to make it through here. What did you do?
I definitely had those moments with certain people because I had to train a lot of people, all the different personalities. So yeah, I had those moments too. Where I just said, okay, don't jump on them because remember, I was just 18 to 26. I was very feisty, very slick with the mouth, very, very, very much so.
Okay.
So with Lobo and with anybody, when I first got there, Shelby, when I walked in the door, 18 years old, I came in there like I owned it. I walked in there so confident. They didn't know. I came there like, okay, so who's gonna train me? What we doing? Da 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 da. Just being myself. And they liked it because this was refreshing, I guess, because it was mainly guys. They had a few women there, but none of them were like me. Very, very boisterous, happy, like, let's go, let's go, let's go, almost cheerleader type. Like, I'm ready to go to work.
Well, we
I was
call
so
that
happy.
eager.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I was so happy to be in this prestigious career. And little, like I said, little girl from Moss Point, Mississippi, never been anywhere or been exposed to all this type of stuff. I was just eager. And so that just kind of, a lot of the guys, one of the guys said he was a little scared. I talked to him later on. He's like, I was a little scared. I was like, you were so hyped. Is she on something? I was just so excited and thankful and grateful for that opportunity. So, and then working with people, we always had to work in teams, of course. Like me and Lobo worked, spent a lot of time in the O2. There was the O2 section, the suit maintenance section, different areas to work on different things. And he and I, towards the end of my time, we got pretty close working together. We would be working on components in the O2 section. We'd be cutting up, telling jokes, being bad, a little cussing here and there. Just like having a good time.
By
And
the
then
way,
we
it's your
travel.
work.
Yeah. And we exactly. We travel together. So, you get closer because you're traveling together. And he was just a sweetheart. I always told him he was like my best girlfriend, you know, because we just got along so well. But I mean, you could probably talk to pretty much anybody that I've worked with over the years. They'll say, yeah, she'll get you now. She got a sharp tongue. But it's only when it's necessary. I don't just walk around being sharp tongued for no reason, you know? So just but it was my personality too. So that's another thing, if you're faking it, eventually it's gonna come out. It was just my
Right.
normal personality, which is why a lot of the crew members, the pilots and the astronauts, liked me to be the one to suit them up because I had a personality, bubbly, chat with them, not just like yes sir, no sir, and I actually asked them about the kids, and it's like, come on, you better straighten up before I put some itching powder in this suit, just messing with them,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
appreciate being treated like a person,
Yes.
instead of a robot suiting them up.
That's
So yeah,
right.
just being yourself, and like I said, you never know what might come of it. Like if me and Lobo hadn't been cool, I would have never, I would have had a whole different history, whole different trajectory. Because I
Yeah.
wouldn't have, yeah.
So when you left the Air Force, though, and went into your next career in
Hmm.
with the space program,
Hmm.
what did you have to unlearn? What did you have to unlearn just
Oh my
about working?
goodness,
I
I'm
mean,
so
you're
glad you
young,
learned that.
so at that point, right?
But I was young in age, but very, very mature and wise, because I lost both my parents by the time I was 8 years old. So I had to grow up really quick. Like I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of people's story is similar where they lost their parents and had to live with siblings or what have you. And it wasn't ideal, but I made it through. And my knight in shining armor, the Air Force recruiter, got me out of Moss Point.
Yeah, sure.
So, but I what was the question? I just lost
What
track.
did you have to unlearn from,
Unlearn, girl.
coming out of the,
That
right, going
was
into the space
it.
program?
It was such a culture shock, Shelby, from the Air Force. In the
Yeah.
Air Force, we were like boom, 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 all day long. If it's broke, you fix it, blah, 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 move it. And they're flying sorties one after the other. I got here, it was like going from the hare, the little bunny rabbit racing the turtle. It went from that and to being the space program was like working with the turtle. It
Wow.
was so much slower, so much waiting, so much read every word. In the Air Force, you learn it. You got the procedures there if you need to just check, but you learn it and you just got it. It's in your head. I knew all the torques for all of the parts. I knew everything by heart. because we did it so much. Got here, it's like then they're sitting back letting me do it too, because it was only several civilians and a few Air Force people here. It might have been about, I want to say maybe about 12 to 15 of us in the department at the time when I first got here. But example, in the breathing regulator that goes in the suit, it was a 5-minute job. I knew what to do. I knew how to fix it, but I couldn't want here. You can't do that with the space program.
Mm.
They have engineers, quality inspectors. In the Air Force, you are everything. You're the engineer, you're the quality inspector, you're the technician. Once you put your initials on it, it's you. They come to see you if something happened with that. If they have like a bailout or something and something didn't work, they're coming to see you. I get here, this 5-minute job that I can do, I know what to do, know how to fix it. Nope, you can't. I have to stop what I'm doing, wait for a quality inspector to look at it, write a discrepancy report, send it up to the engineer. A 5-minute job is gonna take a day or two.
Wow.
Ridiculous. And I had a very hard time. I said I was very hostile towards my supervisor because I was like, this is stupid. I was like, I can't believe y'all work like this. I got dumber when I got here. Yes, ma'am,
Good.
because I couldn't just work. I had to sit there and read word for word. And so I started forgetting because I was forced to read what we had to
Oh,
do and
yeah.
stamp off step, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. And then the quality inspector do theirs. Boom, boom, boom. And then with the engineers, most of the time they'll come down and ask me what to write on the paperwork to tell me to fix it. Because I'm the one going to be fixing it, right? They just straight out of school, a lot of them. They don't know. They got a degree and they're an engineer now. But they
Mm.
don't know this equipment. I've already been doing it for 7 years.
Mm.
It was so that was the coming into civilian world was hard for me. And then I was, we cussed a lot just for fun in the military. We just cussed just because. So
So you
I
had
had to
to.
bring that girl. I didn't realize how bad I was until I got in the civilian world. I was like, dang. So yeah, I had to clean up my act.
So you had to unlearn doing it all and unlearn that speech that you picked up in the military.
Ooh, girl, just bad.
Yeah. So, doing that, and when you look back on your time in the military and then your transition, right? Sharon, was there one point where you said, where you could communicate with us, right? That you knew it clicked, right? It worked. I have transitioned. Was there a point where you
When
felt
I
like,
first joined the military or after I was
no,
about
when
to
you
leave?
moved into the space program, was there
Oh,
one point that clicked for you that, like, I've transitioned? I'm in,
yes.
because it can be frustrating to learn and relearn. But was there one point in your career in the space program where you're just like, okay, I've made that transition. I'm successful here?
It was almost immediate because it was the same exact job. I
Right.
mean, except I had to learn how to do it in their world,
In their
during
framework.
in
That's
their policies and procedures and program. But it
right.
was the same. The suits, well, the Air Force suits, the original ones. They started back wearing the suits. If you look at the old astronaut pictures, like they have one with 3 men, black astronauts. They got on gold colored suits. Those are the Air Force suits. So the shuttle they were using those suits before they became orange,
Right.
made them an orange color. But anyway, so it was the same equipment, same breathing regulators. And I mean, I knew all the stuff like the back of my hand already. So
Sure.
just fitting into the space culture was the only thing I had to deal with. And then of course new people looking at you like she don't know what she's doing. But Lobo had already told them she don't play.
Yeah.
Don't try her when she come in here because she will slice
I
you
should
up
have
with her
brought you
mouth.
in for your brand because,
Yes.
one thing I do say about having a strong brand, personal brand,
Mm-hmm.
is that
Yes.
it's what people say about you, right? What they say about you when you're not in the room. And clearly this gentleman was able to
Thought
articulate
highly of me.
not just your skills, but I'm sure he also talked about your personality,
He
the way
did.
you work with others, and that's so important. And I, often think, if people just understood how important those bridges are and that you don't burn bridges. And we've been saying
Yes.
that for years, but you should never do that, right?
No.
Because you don't know who's going to be in your next role, who's going to come, who
Yeah.
you might have to ask for a job from. And I've been around in HR long enough that I've cycled a few people a few times, right? They've come to me in
Mm-hmm.
different areas and different companies. But, I want to go back to, you suited up, made Jemison, which is
Yes.
definitely historical. You really came out of, a small town to go into a big job. You were very young, transitioning into the space
Yes.
program. And since that time, talk a little bit about the other things you've done and how your past experiences informed your new transitions.
Okay, so after I would still be at the space shuttle with the space shuttle program if the space shuttle did not retire. I loved my job. I bleed orange, like my suit. Orange.
That's it.
I'm sure I love my job. And that's a rare thing. People can't really say and really mean it, truly mean it. I love it so much people think I still work there because I'm so passionate when I talk about it and how much I loved my job. Anyway, spacesuit technician. When I got there, I started at the very bottom, even though I had 7 years experience, right? And worked my way up. Because I knew once I got my foot in that door, once Lobo got me, he got me in there, I was gonna move up because I'm serious. Toot toot. I tell people toot your own horn because if you would let them know. So I moved up quickly, and that's why my title is the slashes. I was a suit technician, and something I'm proud of before I go further is because of me, they started bringing in the Air Force people at mid level instead of at the very bottom like they did with me. Because I raised a little sand, I went in there and said something about it. Even though it was Air Force people there already, and they didn't say anything because they got theirs. They was like, "Hey, I'm good." I'm like, "That's not fair. We come in here, hit the ground running, and you got us starting like we're right off the street, a person that don't know how to work on the suits." And they moved it up to mid level, so I was so proud. I was like, so the next people came in, yeah, they started at mid
What a
level instead of the bottom.
legacy.
Yeah, I was so proud. And then when I became the first Black crew chief, because I was working hard, and this is something that never hardly rarely happens in the space program. Somebody gets demoted or fired. You got to kill somebody probably to get demoted or fired. So I was working. I told you when I got there, I was working circles around them because that's what I was used to doing. And so it was noticed by the supervisor. Had a different supervisor by now, and he noticed it. He saw the one guy that was the crew chief already with his feet literally kicked up while everybody's working. And I'm doing his job and my job and a couple other people's job too. And how about he demoted him and promoted me to crew chief? I
Wow.
had never been heard of. I don't think it's ever happened again. I mean, and that's why I appreciate about he was one of my best supervisors because he really paid attention to the people and what was going on in the department and he corrected it. I was like, thank you, sir. Thank you. Only thing I didn't like is they didn't like you to say anything. Like if you got a promotion, like, no, I'm a crew chief. I've been there with an A on my forehead because it's called A Tech. Like,
Yes. Oh, I love
I'm
this.
like, y'all ain't about to hush me, not about to brag. I'm sorry. But anyway, I got to the part then. So we knew the space shuttle program was ending because President Bush had already told us that it's going to be retiring in 2011. So we knew. But I'm staying till the wheels fall off. I ain't going nowhere, just in case. And so when that time came, start coming up, our supervisor immediately, well, he was a lead, then he was supervisor. He passed away. So that spot is open. Like I said, that's the only you're gonna move up to if somebody die. He passed away. And since I knew we were getting ready to come upon, I've never done an interview, because that wasn't an interview I did on the phone to get my technician job. That was
Right.
and so the position came open. 22 people put in for it. Me and the lead of our department, who was my first sergeant in the Air Force, he was over me when I first got it. We all interviewed for it. I'm doing it for practice because I'm like, there ain't no way I'm getting it. I don't have a college degree. He's the lead. That's the next step under supervisor. And guess who got it? Girl, you should have saw me screaming from the rafters.
That's amazing.
And you in HR, I had topped out, so I couldn't even get any raises anymore. I was at the
Oh,
top
wow.
top. Yeah, I was at the top of the technician. I couldn't, and the only way you can get any more money is to go to a different position. And I went and talked to the uppers about opening up their work pay range, and they was like, "No, you just got to find something else to do if you want more money." I'm like, well, dang. Okay,
Right.
they was
Right.
straight with me. I like that though. Straight smooth with me. And so I
Right.
said, well, I'm gonna just interview and start getting ready because I know we're gonna have to find another job. And girl, they told me I couldn't believe it. I'm like, and I ended my interview so confident, just like I'm talking to you. I was like, so when do I start?
That's it.
I was like, when do I start? And they got a chuckle out of that. And it
I
was a
that is
panel.
great.
It was a panel interview. So
Sure.
that's how I got that. So the last 8 years I was a manager. I was like, but I miss being a suit tech. I miss actually interacting with the crew and suiting them up and all of that. So that was hard. That was a little hard for me, just being an office person. And I mean, I went down for the launches and things, but it wasn't the same as being out there and suiting them and getting them ready and chit chatting. And I'm very social.
That's
So I'm
great.
sorry. So after 22 years, I was excited to not be working. I mean, I missed it, but I went through a little phase though, Shelby, of this has been my identity for 22 years, right? I'm
Right.
like, who am I besides a mom and a wife? Besides Dominic and Corbin's mom or Morano's wife? Now I don't even, I feel like I don't have an identity. I wasn't depressed, but it just was on my mind, like, what, you know, who am I not? Just Sharon, just a mom and a wife.
Right.
I've been Suit Tech Diva for 22 years.
That's right. That's
And,
right.
you know, I became the manager without a college degree. What am I going to do? Who am I? So instead of, how some people have imposter syndrome, I've never had that. But now I'm like, you know,
You got to move on, right?
I
Yeah.
got to. I have no choice. Yeah, it retired. I even took the early layoff so I could get unemployment. I'm
So,
looking for a job. But the company was awesome, Shelby. They gave us a whole year's worth of, if we wanted to go take some kind of certification or any kind of courses, they paid for it for that year, for a whole year after we were let go.
wow.
So, like I said, we knew it was coming, so we had time to look if we really wanted to. But I didn't really want to work with nothing but the space shuttle program. It was such an awesome era. I know the Apollo people think that about the Apollo era, and the Artemis people will think that about
Artemis,
their era, but
yes.
space shuttle was it. And I'm like, it would never be the teamwork, the pride we had, girl. It was second to none. And I just didn't think it would be anything because everybody always I get asked this day, you didn't want to go back and work with the space program? I was like, I really didn't because it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be
Yes.
the same. So I had to get out. I worked a little job for a minute and I was like, that's not for me. It was just a job. It wasn't something I loved. It wasn't a career. I'm doing it just to be doing something, just to get a paycheck. And
Mm,
I never felt that way before, and I was like, I can't. So I'm retired now for real. No part-time job or anything. So during COVID, now while I worked there, I did a lot of community service. I would actually take the whole astronaut suit out and go to different events and go to schools and pressurize it to get kids interested. I'm sure a lot of kids don't know that spacesuit technician is even a job. I didn't either till I joined the Air Force. And so I started going out talking all the time. I had more fun doing that than watching the launches because, after a while, the launch, same. Watch it. Oh, they go to space shuttle
I
again.
don't think we can fathom that a launch is the same,
Yeah,
but we
same.
appreciate what you said.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Ooh. But I do hope that everything's safe and they come back safe, of course. And so I started thinking, I was like, I want to ride. I love kids. I love interacting with them and seeing their little eyes light up when you tell them something or they have questions and they're just all just excited about everything. And so I was like, you know what? All the talks I used to do, I'm gonna put it in a book. So I decided to become an author. So she's in her author era.
That's right. I love that. I love that. And so, what did you do to prepare to be an author? I love the author era. I mean, I love that. What made you? You love the kids, but how did you prepare for that? What did you do? Did you know about how to become an author or what you would do? What did you do? Tell us about the steps you
Let
took to
me
become
tell
an
you how
author.
this happened, Shelby. Like I said, I always wanted to, but I didn't. I thought while I was there, it might be too much red tape, and they'll be like, you can't say this or that or do this or that. So I put it on the back burner, and you know what happened when you do that? It burned up. I forgot about it. Then good old COVID came along. I was like, I ain't got nothing but time. I can't go nowhere. I got no. I got a literal pencil and paper and drew little stick figures of what I wanted the pictures to look like because I can't draw. And I wrote the book by hand because it's something I had been saying over and over and over for almost 30 years, right? So it was always in my head. So it took only about an hour and a half to write it out. If I'd have typed it, it'd have been quicker, of course. So I wrote it out. I had to, but oh, let me back up. A young lady named Natasha Lee, her company is Being That Girl. She's that girl. She's in Detroit, Michigan. She was putting on an event out here in Houston, and I met her there. I had never known who she was or anything, and I met her. I went because I wasn't working. So I went out and hung out, and it was an empowering women and all this good stuff. And she asked me the question, so what do you want to do? Because I had told them all about everything I did. So what do you want to do now? I'm like, I want to be a author. I want to write children's books because I love, and I want. And the reason I wrote the first book is because people don't really think about the suit as a suit. They always think about the white spacesuit that they do spacewalks in, right? Our orange suit, they think it's like a little costume that they just put on, and astronauts put it on themselves. And blah, blah, I'm like, no, that's actual life sustaining equipment. So I go over the different layers, and I want people to know about it, not just kids, but people in general know about the suit and what it does. Because I'm proud. I'm so proud to have worked there and worked on that particular suit. But anyway, that's why I wanted to write it. And she was like, "So what do you want to do?" I was like, I want to write a children's book, and I want to, get some speaking engagements. And she's like, you know what? I know an author who's already written 14 children's books. I'm gonna connect you with her. Just met her. Just met this young lady, and she did. So I was able to. Annette Smith is her name. She was able to tell me, okay, this is a good site to find you illustrators and people that editors and all this Fiverr.com. If anybody interested, Fiberr.com.
Love that.
And then she would give me little information like that. She didn't tell me how to write the book or anything, but she would give me suggestions and guide me, and I appreciated her for that because I already had it written, the words, but just putting it together. And she'd be like, "Oh, that sounds good," or maybe you should put that one first, or something. Little stuff like that. She would help me out. She was a good mentor, good guide for me. And so after that, I wrote it. I went through two illustrators before I got to the third person. So I was about to give up. I was like, is this a sign that God telling me I don't need to write this book? I can't get anybody to illustrate it.
Oh,
Two people got halfway through make the illustrations and they had to back out for personal reasons or whatever. Girl, I actually cried.
yeah, I
And so I
know.
just went to Facebook and I saw they have pages for everything on Facebook. I went to this author's children's illustrator book page. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for an illustrator. I gave him like a synopsis of the book. And the first person that reached out to me, and I asked them to send me, examples of their work. She sent in Messenger. She lives in Portugal. Never spoke. I don't know what her voice sounded like. Never even talked to her. We did everything through emails and Messenger. And my little Shay, she did that. She did that.
She's
She
cute.
did too. Girl, I told her I want to have a little curly, like almost like a little afro, and I told her about the little headband, and she added her little touches to it because I didn't want to restrict her. I wanted her to have some freedom to create
Sure.
also, and I didn't want it to be too technical looking. So, I'm gonna tell them about the suit. It don't have to look like everything. Just so it's a
Yeah.
story, like a mother-daughter story, is what it is. Because I didn't have my mommy, I wanted to put that in there too, and of course, it's gonna be a little black girl.
Yes. 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 Well, that is fabulous. So, did I
Yeah.
hear you say books? Because did
Yes,
you?
girl. My second book is Suit Up to Die with Shay. Let me move around.
Yes.
So after I wrote this one, and I'm like I told you, a lot of kids don't know that they can be a spacesuit technician. They don't have to be only an astronaut. They can aspire to so many jobs behind the scenes. People don't have a clue, even grown-ups. That's behind the scenes, helping make these astronauts great.
Yes.
So my husband has been a scuba diver for almost 30 years with NASA. Third black scuba diver over there. And he's one of my homeboys. We went to school together, graduated class of 82, high school, everything. Lived on the same block. I mean, all that.
Oh, wow. Oh.
We've been married almost July be 34 years.
Oh, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
Yes.
So scuba divers, kids, you think about space, you're not thinking about scuba diving.
Right.
Yes, that's a career. They have safety divers, camera divers, divers that go down and repair the equipment underwater. I mean, so
Yeah.
I wrote about Suit Up to Dive with Shay to put some light on his career too. And
That
telling
is.
the kids all different stuff he has to wear and what he does at his job. And so the premise of this one is Shay goes to work with her daddy, bring your kid to work day. And he's showing her all the stuff. And
That
then
wonderful.
I'm gonna have a trilogy, so it'll be one more I'll write about my Air Force career, and that'll be done with Suit Up with Shay. But my latest book, All Black Girls. I stepped away from Shay. So this one, and it kind of goes into my military roots because I love one of the most things I love the most about military is marching and the little songs you do while you're marching. So it's written in a military cadence. Like, I don't know, but I've been told
Oh, wow. That,
all
yeah.
black girls have hearts of gold. I do know and I have seen all black girls will act like queens.
Ah.
So it's like it goes
Love
on like that.
that.
It's more than that, of course.
Well,
To uplift our
I
babies and pour into them and let them know that they're just as special and beautiful and smart as anybody else.
Exactly. Well, what an incredible example you are,
Thank
for Black girls and all girls, really, in this space
you.
where, like you said, when you first got in, there weren't very many women. And, then you had that wonderful opportunity to work with May and to be her person. I'm sure she felt more comfortable having you there to get her
Oh, that
suited up. Absolutely.
you can
But,
imagine how she felt being the first,
that's right. And so it's like, how, we've had actresses here, we've had others that, the folks that help them to be great, to look good, they want those folks to care about them and be invested in them, all of the people working around you, because that comfort
Say it.
is important. But, Sharon, this, for my audience, and when we talk about careers, I just want to say, even though there were times, and I want to just sort of recap this, even though
Yeah.
there were times when you didn't want to leave what you were doing, you enjoyed the Air Force and had a moment, but then look back and say, I love the Air Force. You enjoyed the space program and knew at that point, I don't want to go into another program. I've done
Right.
it, right? But I can share this message with others, I can do others. And the one thing that you did say that really resonated with me was when you got into a interim job and it wasn't your passion and you quickly unwound that. And
Yes.
that's another thing that I feel like, folks need to understand. If it isn't bringing you joy in some way, if it isn't what you want to do, you do what you
Yeah.
got to do what you want to do. Yeah,
Exactly.
but at the same time, don't get stuck in something that isn't working for you. And you are in the epitome of it doesn't work, I'm going to do something different.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of us really need to understand the power in that. And then moving
Wonderful.
into being an author, I love this. Yeah, I'm in my author era. It's amazing and what you've been able to develop there. But I would ask you, I've got just a couple of sort of rapid fire things that I want to just ask
Hmm.
you around,
Okay.
what you do. So one mindset, this is, here we go. One mind shift that everyone needs a career with. What is the one mind shift that helps you to reinvent yourself in your career? One thing that if you could just shift your mind, you could go on to the next.
You got to be courageous. You can't be scared. You
Yes.
could. It's not. You don't even have to be fearless, but you got to be courageous enough to make that move. Like you said earlier, we get comfortable. Like, well, I'm going somewhere else, even though it
Yeah.
may be $5 more an hour. It might be an actual good job. But I always tell, like I used to tell my folks in my department, "Don't go jump in the ship for $1 more. Their benefits might not be the same. They may not have a 401k. You need to get to the big picture. Not just they're paying me $1 more. But yeah,
That
you got to be courageous. You got to
wow,
have that courage. You got to jump.
courage.
Yeah.
And what is one mistake to avoid when you're making a pivot? When you're ready to pivot, what's the one mistake you talked about? One of them. Is there another one that you can think of? Right? Don't get mad. Well,
Yeah,
oh
that's what I'm
yeah,
gonna say. Have a plan. Have a plan before you leave. Get mad, chew on your tongue, whatever, until you get to a plan, and then tell them where to go and get on out of there. But
get
no,
out of
make sure
there.
you got a plan. Don't just leave and put yourself in a bad situation like I did. And I didn't tell you, Shelby, I was about to reenlist before Lobo called. I was about to reenlist and go back because it was too hard. I was like, I've been having this beautiful life, and now I'm here struggling every day. And I was just about to go back in. I hadn't been to the dentist or the doctor, yeah, had nothing.
Oh,
And I'm used to having all these luxuries that we take for granted.
right,
So I
right.
was just about to reenlist, and it was during Desert Storm. They were getting ready to start Desert Storm.
Well,
But I was
it
like,
is also
yeah, I couldn't
a
keep living like that.
Right. It's also a lesson in appreciating the blessings that you have. That's
Yes,
also a
yes,
great
ma'am.
lesson as well. And sometimes we do think, the grass is greener on the other side, and it isn't
Mm-hmm.
really. And so
Mm-mm.
appreciating your blessings. And so, one investment everyone should make in themselves this year, if you had to just say this year, because I mean, you were on to a whole bunch of which should, we invest in this year for ourselves.
You need to make sure that you are taken care of. Not, mainly women, because we take care of everything. So you need to invest in yourself. Go get that massage. That baby don't need no new shoes. Go, you know what I'm saying? We always say, no, I need to do this or that. And my husband used to get on me about that all the time. I would buy him a $200 pair of sneakers with no problem. But me, a $50 pair, I'm like, that is too much. Take care of yourself. And a lot of us wait way too long to start doing that. Whether it's getting your nails done, massage, a girls' retreat, whatever. Invest in yourself. I'm not even talking about a job or a business or whatever. You, your body, your person, your mental, your physical. Go to a new exercise class, try something, do something for you. That's just for you. Because I,
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't do it a lot because I was focused on my kids and my husband. It's all about them. And that's just what women do. We're always givers for everybody else. But go get my hair done. Oh no, that's too much. you know,
That's
you
right.
know, we always put ourselves on the back.
That's right. Or not just making the time for it.
That
And so
too,
I
yeah.
do want to stop here because I know that our audience may have a couple of questions for you. And I want to just thank you for that. You have really dropped some nuggets tonight, Sharon, and I know that my audience appreciates that. So I'm going to turn it over to Whitney. If there are questions, Whitney, we'd like to get started.
Good evening, Sharon, and thank you again for your very
Hi.
insightful responses. They were wonderful. And you have lots of lovely comments in the chat. Everyone talking about loving your comments on transferable skills, as well as discussing your checks and balances and how you make hard
Yes.
decisions. So thank you for sharing all of that. For those that are on, if you have any questions, please add them to the chat. I don't see any questions just yet.
That's okay.
And I think part of it is that you were so forthcoming that
Right.
everyone was just leaning in.
Open
So
book
we
for
don't have
real.
any. Yeah, but no, it was so appreciated though, and you had a lot of involvement there too. So we'll give it just a moment to see if there are any questions in
Okay.
the chat.
Well, while we're waiting, please go to my website if you like any of my books or want to book me for a speaking engagement or author visit. And it's my name, SharonCaplesMcDougal.com.
Yep. I love that. Yes. And Sharon, so while we're waiting, if we're waiting, are you having any other speaking engagements here that, maybe our folks could tap into as well? Or will there be anything public that you're doing in the near
No,
future?
no, not the near future, but I may be in at the Smithsonian in July. I may be there. They're still trying to firm up some stuff. They're opening the new portions of the Air and Space Museum.
Yeah.
So I
Yes.
may be there in July.
I looked over at the comments and there's so many just really loving you. I think that you share again, as Whitney said, you've been so forthcoming. I don't think there are questions because they usually don't, but I'm gonna turn it back over to Whitney.
Okay.
All right, thank you. We do have one. It's a question from Katrina, and she says, "What do you think about this next phase of the space exploration? Will you create a book around what's going on now or what's going on next?"
Hey, Katrina. No, I won't be writing a book about Artemis because I'm not, well versed in the Artemis program. Even though the suits are very similar, they do have differences. They're still orange, thank goodness. But no, I won't be writing a book about that. But very excited about the space program. I got chills with the Artemis 2 launch. Oh, man. And I got to meet two of those astronauts, well, three of them. So I felt very blessed to, not being in the program anymore, to be able to meet them over at Space Center Houston at an event. And Victor was lovely, just like y'all see him on TV. He's that way in person too. So I'm just glad to still be connected a little bit because my husband still works there as a scuba diver. I was actually over at the neutral buoyancy lab where they train for their underwater walks. I was over there today. At his job. A couple of my friends wanted a tour, and I was over there with them while he gave them a tour of the pool. So if y'all live in the Houston area, let me know.
Love it.
But no, Katrina, I won't be writing anything about the Artemis because, like I said, that's not my expertise anymore.
Thank you so much.
You're
Another
welcome.
question. As someone who also wishes to enter their author era, and this is from Sydney, can you tell us a little bit more about your writing process? What details from your life did you enjoy incorporating into your books?
Hi, Sydney. I was happy to make it because when I first wanted to write it, I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to form it into a story. I mean, I knew all the knowledge about the soup parts and all that stuff, right? But you got to make it a story that people will enjoy. So, as I mentioned earlier to Shelby, I made it a mother-daughter conversation. The boys are going to leave for the day, and the girls are going to stay home and have a mother-daughter day. And the mom asked Shay, what does she want to do today? And she wanted to play dress up. And so she went through all the different things in her mind, like a princess, a firefighter, and then she came upon astronaut. And so her mom, being a former spacesuit technician, made it a teachable moment and said, okay, but before you suit up, we got to learn all about that spacesuit. So that's, and then I started going through the layers and she's asking questions while I'm telling her about it. So kids are like, ooh, and you know, I love reading it to the kids in person. Oh my goodness, they're so much fun. They get a kick out of it. And then adults, I have adults, the whoever grown-ups are in there, they're like, and I was like, that's why I wrote it. How many copies you want?
No, that's perfect. All right.
Sharon, it seems like you have like the most fun job in the world, so I'm loving
I
it.
did. It was the best. And then being an author now is the best too, except
Mhm.
you have those highs and lows where people will order a bunch of books or it'll be like a dry spell, or you'll have like 3 speaking engagements in a week and then nothing, So but I'm very blessed to have a lovely husband who supports me, and allowed me to go ahead and retire early and, do my thing. He's happy. I love him.
Sharon with the in the author era and the soft girl era as well.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, girl, soft girl eating buns era.
Right. I'm loving it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sharon. We just had those two questions. I
Oh,
know it's time for us to wrap. So I'm going to pass it back over to Erica and Shelby, but thank you
okay.
so much.
You're so